Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Lady J. It's your girl, Lady J. Why you acting like Teller of Penn and Teller? Say something. You play too much. And this is the Mind His Business show right here on 100.3 FM. Gospel Music Omaha, Omaha's first, only, and dare I say best, urban gospel radio station in the state of Nebraska and Iowa and online throughout the entire world. If you're listening to us, thank you, because you could be tuned in anywhere else right now, but you have chosen to tune in to our station, and we appreciate the support. You have no idea how much your support means to each one of us. So, LuvLuv has got about 5711 cameras. Push this up next to it, and it should hold it up there. Okay, she trying to balance them out. Why are you playing telephone Jenga there, trying to balance them all out? Okay, we're going to let you do your thing.
It's important because
all right.
We have people that's in Africa.
Here, push something up next to it so it doesn't fall. Yeah, try that. Okay, now I think we got it now. So anyway, as I was saying, if you're listening online and you're not on your local FM dial at 100.3, make sure you tune in to GospelMusicOmaha.com/listen. There's a player button on there, and if you push that button, everything that's on the radio is on the internet. So essentially, you can listen to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter where you are in the world, which is a fantastic thing. We also have an Android app. If you just type in Gospel Music Omaha, you got to type in all three words, Gospel Music Omaha. You'll see our radio station pop up. You can download the app, and it has all of our social media links, and of course you can listen from there as well. The iPhone app is still held up in iPhone App Store purgatory, so our app developer has modified it several times in order to be able to get iPhone to accept it, but it is on the way. So all we're waiting for now is for their determination, and it seems to take a week or two each time we make sure that we meet their qualifications. So there's a turnaround time that's involved that's outside of our control, but trust and believe, this has been a long time coming. Meanwhile, while we're at it today, we're going to talk about several different topics. The first one I'm going to talk about is that Will Smith slap that was heard around the world. And then later on, I want to talk a little bit about black money. And then we're going to talk about whatever else it is that LuvLuv has on her mind. Normally, we don't really get into pop culture too much because, we are citizens. We are citizens of the kingdom of God and of the kingdom of heaven. And ultimately, we know that we're just passing through here. So we kind of try not to focus too much on what's going on out there in them secular streets, but from time to time I think it's fun to talk about stuff that's going on in the news, just kind of get a take on kind of what we think about it and what other people are thinking about it, and maybe if there's some sort of tie into something biblical, maybe we can tie that into something, you know what I mean? So
I just want to clarify something.
Let me turn up your microphone. There you go.
I just want to clarify something. The reason why I didn't say my name was because we have a lot of people that are from Australia, Africa, that listen to us on Instagram, and they practically never, ever catch the beginning. So I decided that I'm not saying it until everyone is set up properly, and that's why I want to say hi to everybody. Hi, guys. Hi,
okay,
ladies.
So for all of our international people, this is just for you. What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Lady J.
And your girl, LuvLuv. And this is the Mind His Business show. There you go.
That works for me. So as I'm sure, even if you in the church and ain't been out in the world for a long time, I'm sure you've seen across the news or somewhere that there's an actor named Mr. Willard Smith, and he decided that he was going to have we'll say a moment. He had a moment. he had a moment during the Oscar ceremony.
Ain't nothing but black on black crime. Black on black crime. That's
so,
if he did it. I'd like to see the other angle to show that it landed. That'd be nice.
Well, so if you haven't heard the story, I'm sure you have, but just in case you haven't, there's a ceremony. If you're outside of the United States, maybe you haven't heard of it. So I'll give you that. So here in the United States, every year we have, excuse me, there's an organization called the Academy, the Motion Picture Academy, and each year they give an award to those that they consider in their membership as being the best of the field. So you have to be a member in order to place a vote in this academy, and then they give what's called an Academy Award in all kind of categories, whether it's Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Picture, Best Cinematographer, Best Production, Best Costume, so the whole nine. And so pardon me. And so this particular year, every year they have these awards. Now they affectionately call the award the Oscar. And there's a whole history and a backstory of why they call it the Oscar. Interestingly enough, this particular statue that they give at the Oscars is shaped almost exactly the same way as an Egyptian idol named Ptah. And I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, Ptah. So basically you have members of the secular media elite in film and movies giving an idol statue to each other to congratulate each other on
gold. Yeah, it's gold. They said it's gold.
So we already know, starting off, that this is a room full of people who lie for a living. I'm sorry, that's what actors do, right? Because you're not the actual person when you're on that screen. You're reciting the words that someone else wrote to embody a character that it is not you yourself, and you're generating emotion on demand, and you're lying for a living. That's what you do. And so all of these liars basically are giving an Egyptian idol statue to each other to congratulate each other on who can lie the best on screen. Okay, now that's you say, oh my gosh, Lady J, that's pretty blunt.
Okay, there are people out there that I know. Hi, Minister Jordan. There are people that would not consider that lying. It's acting something that was read or something that was made up by someone else. I wouldn't call it lying.
You saying I'm being too harsh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna back off a little bit.
You can't tell.
Well, I'm just trying to spice it up because we all tired of talking about the slap, but I'm gonna get into why I said that.
Look, he resigned because he know next year Tyson. Tyson will be hosting. He ain't gonna go to him.
Okay.
That man too small. Why you gonna pick on somebody that ain't even your size?
All right.
If it was real.
Okay. So all right. You saying I'm being too rough? All right. I'll concede that. But there is a reason why I said, okay, how about I say this? People make up stories or make up visual images of things to tell stories that may or may not necessarily be true. And whoever can do that the best usually gets the award.
Now you're talking.
Is that a little more fair?
That's fair because,
a little less blunt.
Because it really is truly a job. It's not,
It is
also
a job.
knew Minister Alvin Macon. I know a lot of people who really take that seriously, and they get paid to do those things. And I love it. And I love seeing scripts acted out. I love it. I love black plays.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I love a good story well told.
Now you're talking.
But there's a reason why I said it that way, and there is a reason why I made it blunt. And it's not because I don't appreciate actors. I watch a lot of TV. I love a good story well told just as well as the next person. I did not watch the Oscars this year. I found out about the slap the next morning. But there's a reason why I'm setting the table, and you'll see as I get a little further along.
Yeah, I sent it to you, but you were asleep. I sent it.
So I've set the stage, and hey to everybody on social media, I see people saying hey. So here we are. We've got this Academy Award, and it's so glorious. And I love looking at the outfits. They're dressed in all these beautiful outfits, and it's so grand and everything. And the hosts for the night, there were 3 comedian females who were doing part of the hosting gig. Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and who was the third woman? Y'all put it in the chat who the third woman was. It's escaping me.
She's black.
Regina Hall.
Hall,
Yes, who could forget Regina Hall? She's hilarious, and she does excellent in dramatic roles as well. So they had this diverse cast. They also had Mr. Will Packer, who probably doesn't mean a whole lot to this audience, but why it's important is that he is African American, and this year's Oscars were produced by Will Packer, which was the first ever African American produced Oscars ceremony. And he hired a ton of African American staff
behind the scenes
to pull it off. So there was a big push for what I call descriptive diversity that was present, and this was in reaction to the hashtag Oscars So White. Several years ago, Miss Jada Pinkett, Will Smith's wife, actually boycotted the Oscars, saying there wasn't enough descriptive diversity or descriptive representation in the Oscars, and so she was boycotting. Now, in 2016, this is when she boycotted, and Mr. Chris Rock, who was...
Nor was she invited, by the way.
Well, he made a joke about her not being invited. So here you have an African-American comedian, Chris Rock, who made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith boycotting the Oscars, essentially saying that, well, nobody invited you anyway, so who cares that you boycotted? So there was already a little bit of tension there between Chris Rock and and the Smiths, okay? So fast forward, Mr. Will Smith, who, for the record, I really enjoy as an actor. I've enjoyed him since Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His very first major role as an actor was to play a homosexual prostitute. So that was how he got his big break into the acting field after he jumped from...
To Wong Fu?
No. That was Wesley Snipes.
Oh, okay.
No, he did a movie called Six. Let's look that up. Will Smith's first role. It had the word six in it. Let me find out. Six. Yeah, it was called 6 Degrees of Separation.
There we go. Okay, now I understand. I was like, what is that? Okay.
Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold. His first role, major movie role, was 6 Degrees of Separation. This was in 1993. And in this role, he played a homosexual prostitute. So he entered the industry playing a role that was homosexual prostitute. It's a fact. It's not conjecture. This is how he got into the industry, is by being willing to further, in some ways, the black gay agenda. Okay, just putting it out there. So, of course, the Hollywood elite said, this is great. He's coming in. He's a rap artist, but he's willing to further the agenda however we want him to. And he has taken this role, and that's where he got his start in the movies. So after he did this role, he went on to do so many fantastic movies. I'm sure you guys have seen many of them. Pursuit of Happiness, King Richard, Hancock, which wasn't so great as some of the others, Independence Day.
I like Legend.
I Am Legend.
Yeah, I like that.
And if we were to just look at his dossier of movies, we could see where there's a certain agenda that was pushed in each one of those agendas. The movie Seven, which talked about basically euthanasia. You know, I'm going to give my heart for somebody else. I Am Legend, which basically showed us how you could take an mRNA injection that we think is going to be a cure, but then the cure becomes the disease and zombifies the whole world. He's done other movies that have pushed certain agendas. For example, Independence Day has pushed the agenda of an alien invasion, which as believers, many of us who believe in the end times suspect that they're going to use a fake alien agenda, a fake alien invasion, in order to convince the world to follow a global leader. So pushing the whole alien idea is all part of a satanic worldwide agenda as well. And for believers, aliens is a very interesting topic, because we understand that aliens are not beings from other planets, but rather they are fallen angels who are advancing ideas such that they can eventually bring people under a one world rulership.
Well, there are a lot of Christians too that believe that we're not the only one that exists in what we call the universe or the multi-verse. But you have to understand, we are the apple of God's eye, and He did create everything that surrounds us, including the sun and the moon.
So, agreed.
Yes, and the stars.
So, we're going to get to the slap here in a moment. But I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a background on Will Smith has been the most bankable star one of the most bankable stars of the last several decades. As a matter of fact, his last 10 movies in a row all were number one at the box office. What is the box office? The box office is how many people actually get out of their seats and go to the movies and pay for a ticket at a movie theater. His movies, his last 10 movies that he did, when they were released, they were number one at the box office. Somebody in the chat saying Bad Boys. Yes, Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, with our Omaha beloved Miss Gabrielle Union.
That's right.
She's in that movie, and
That's
actually
they
did a spin-off of that
Nikki.
They did a spin-off of that with a TV show on Spectrum called LA's Finest, and then she went on to take her Bad Boys character and do a spin-off on a television series, which I did like and I did enjoy. Anyway, so he's done a lot of these movies, and each one of those movies in one way or another has been very careful to push whatever agenda that the world system wants to promote. He even did a movie on Netflix called Bright, where he was a police cop buddy with an alien. Do you remember that one?
I didn't watch it. It looked weird. Some things that, nope, you're not wasting my time. Nope, can't get that back. Still haven't watched it. Sorry.
So Will Smith has been this very likable, bankable, good-looking, people like him. He really took to social media like a fish to water, where a lot of stars try to be notoriously private. He has really taken, like, for example, his Instagram, a lot of motivational, inspirational things he says and does. He did some skydiving not too long ago. He's just done a lot of things that people find very positive. She said Bright was a good movie. Well, I'm glad you said so. I thought it was weird looking. I didn't watch it. I might have to pull it up on Netflix.
You go right ahead. You go right ahead.
So here you have him, and then you have his wife, who is his second wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. She, his first wife, was his, young time love, and they had a child together, Willard Smith III, and they call him Trey for short. That was from his first marriage. That marriage did not work. He then went on to have a second marriage with Jada Pinkett Smith. Their careers both have risen in various different ways. And I'm not going to speak too terribly much on her, other than to say that she has been, she has a Facebook show called Red Table Talk. And on this show, her mother and her daughter get together and they talk about lots of different issues. And Will and Jada together have two children, Willow, which is a play on Will, and Jaden, which is a play on Jada. They have these two children. Their two children have grown up in the industry. Lots of things have happened. People were concerned because their daughter Willow had photographs on social media at about 12, 13 years old in bed with a grown man. People thought that was weird. There were videos of Will Smith kissing his son Jaden on the mouth, and you could tell that Jaden did not want to be kissed on the mouth. People thought that was weird.
Kind of mess?
Mm-hmm. And both of them had joined a church who, from a Christian point of view, we would call it a cult. But it's a religion called Scientology. And whoa, that's loud. Let me turn down the microphone. Adjust your chair. You want to change chairs? That'd probably be easier. Here you go.
No, I got it.
You
Thanks.
good? You good? Okay. So this couple has joined and has been very public over the years that they were a member of, and probably still are, a cult called Scientology. So as much as these people are very well loved by worldly standards, they have some interesting and problematic things that are going on. So Jada Smith has been very public on social media that she was losing her hair due to a condition that many of us women and some men in our community are aware of. It's called alopecia. Now, I don't know whether it's traction alopecia, which is due to protective hairstyles, or if it's
because it's in the center of her head. There's just that one piece going across.
Now
that's called traction.
Now, you know, we own a barber shop and beauty salon, and LuvLuv is a master barber and master cosmetologist. So I'm sure you could speak a lot about alopecia. But since 2018, she has been very public about her struggles with this alopecia, and eventually did go to the point where she just cut all of her hair off and went public with that. And so when you get to the Oscars, you see her, she's in this gorgeous gown. I mean, if I was that small, I'd probably wear a gown like that because it was so cute, but my belly's so big, I couldn't even get away with it with a girdle. She just looked like just really pretty. And now I need to...
She and Demi Moore are two...
No, don't give it away. Don't give it away.
No, they're two people that actually look good with no hair.
Well, you're right. Everybody can't rock it bald.
You got it.
Like, I'm scared to go bald because I don't know what my head would look like if I was bald.
Peanut.
Well, yours would look like a bullet.
Yeah, you got it.
You got a lump
Mine
up there at the
goes up
top.
like a tower. Woo! I'm like, come here, Peanut. Come here, Peanut.
Yes, that's
right.
right.
What my aunt used to say to her dog.
You call my head Peanut, and I call your head Bullet.
That's exactly how my aunt was there. Get over here, Peanut.
So everybody can't rock it bald, and for us ladies that are rocking it bald and got the confidence to do it, salute to you.
Go ahead on.
I don't have that much boldness. Some of y'all can just say, "Well, I'm cutting it down and wearing the big earrings and keeping it rocking." So it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
I don't want nobody smacking me on the head.
Now there is a third party that's involved in this whole Will Smith slap, and that is Oscar presenter Chris Rock. Well, Chris Rock has been a fixture in our house, black comedy.
I've not ever liked him ever, not even one time.
Even
one time. He's not funny to me.
His particular style of comedy is very incendiary, insultive,
very
acerbic, mean-spirited. And that's just kind of how, when you go to a Chris Rock show, you're going to get a lot of yelling. You're going to get a lot of cursing. You're going to get a lot of insults. That's just kind of what his show has been. And so...
if you like that sort of thing.
If you're into that sort of comedy, then you'll really like him. If you're not into that sort of comedy, you probably won't. But he's been around for a very long time. Well, Mr. Chris Rock did a video documentary several years ago called, I think it was called Bad Hair or Hair?
Good Hair.
Good Hair. Good Hair. There you go. Oh, that's right. They did a comedy movie called Bad Hair. That's something else.
Thanks.
Good Hair, where he literally showed how black women and our hair, number one, is the most unique and gorgeous hair in the world. But number two, how we have been sold.
It's strange because when he first came out with it, he was going to these particular salons and hair stores saying, "You want this hair?" And it'd be afros. And they'd be like, "That's not good hair. No, we don't want that hair. Like long, silky, smooth hair." And it's like, no, they don't like that kind of hair. But now,
everybody wants
flying
our
off
kinky
the
glory now.
Shelves. Now they like that hair. They like that curly hair and afros and all of that with the locks and all, because there's nothing dreadful about them. I don't say dreadlocks. There's nothing dreadful about it. And now it's best selling and outselling the straight hair now.
So in his movie,
interesting.
He was very positive about black women's hair. He actually went to India and showed how when the poor women in India will go to their temples, and in order to curry favor with their Hindu idols, they will grow their hair long.
That's what they're told. They're told that.
They will cut their hair off very long, and they will give it as a sacrifice to Hindu idols.
Yep.
And so...
and then the scammers behind the scenes that know it ain't true.
They will pick up all those bundles of
and go
of hair from
Clean
India,
and sell it.
clean it up, package it, send it to America, and then we who
$1 billion industry, not million. $1 billion industry.
And so we who, here we are, we're African Americans in America, and for many different reasons. Some of it is just convenience because it's just easier to just put something on sometimes, and then some of it is society expectations. For whatever reason, we then go and buy this hair that has been literally offered to idols, and then we put that on our hair as our crown, which as Christians, we should explore that a little bit further, because we know in the book of Corinthians it says that a woman's hair is her glory, and we might want to consider maybe we might want to look a little more closely at putting the hair on our heads of someone who gave that hair to an idol. Since it is the crown and glory of God, maybe we might want to just dig into that a little bit more deeply.
Well, if we're going to dig deep, let's go. Let's go.
So,
you know, if you think about I even stopped using the word queen, because when I looked it up and really got into it, it meant whore.
That is true. The original
WHORE. To call someone a queen meant whore. And then with king, I love calling people like Bello and, hey, king. But do you know, I realized that Christ really didn't want the children of Israel to have a king.
That is true.
And most of the kings, you never heard them say, oh, this is David the king and this is his wife, Michal the queen. They never said anything like that. And if you think about it, a king is only over a little small territory, but an emperor or empress is over, we're talking about a whole complete, like the whole nation, like not a nation, but what is that called? It's the whole continent, the whole area. So it's even greater, like China. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like China or Japan. They don't have kings there. No. They have emperors. And we're talking about over millions and millions and millions of people, like the Great Wall.
So I said all that to say that, so Chris Rock, who has two daughters and
twin daughters, yes,
and has pushed very much so to, empower their minds and give them confidence. He has always been strongly encouraging of his daughters, and he did this movie partially to encourage them that their own hair is beautiful no matter how they wear it.
Right.
Okay. So I'm saying all this to set up why things that happen on Oscar night may not have been exactly the way they appeared.
Also, the alopecia company sponsored.
Now you
sponsored.
You're stealing my thunder.
Oh, well, come on with it. Let's go.
So on Oscar night, if you look at the sponsor for the Academy Awards,
right?
The Academy Awards was sponsored by Pfizer.
Right.
Pfizer is the same company. It's one of 3 companies that has put out recently these injections that we all have been familiar with for the last couple of years. Well, did you know that Pfizer is in phase 3 clinical trials for an alopecia drug?
Right.
So, so now things are starting to look a little bit suspicious, because whenever you see something that seems shocking or out of the ordinary, one of your first questions you want to ask is who benefits, and the second question you want to ask is follow the money. So you get to the event. Chris Rock is presenting an award for Best Documentary. It wasn't even Actor of the Year. It wasn't any of that. It was a totally different category. So he's getting up. He's getting ready to do his thing, and he makes a comment toward Will Smith and Jada Smith. And this was the second comment that was directed toward them of the night. Prior to that, the female comedian Regina Hall made a comment.
She didn't get slapped though.
Well, this is where I'm going. So remember when I said Jada Smith has a show called Red Table Talk? Well, during this show, it was revealed, because a scandal was erupting, that she had a sexual affair with her son's friend, who is an artist by the name of August Alsina. So he's in his 20s, she's in her late 40s, I think she's 50 now. And the scandal broke, and they couldn't contain the scandal. So they ended up going public about it on her show, Red Table Talk, where rather than calling it an affair, she called it an entanglement. And so Will Smith is sitting there with tears in his eyes, and they're talking about how hurt he was as she had this entanglement with this young boy.
But he didn't go to go slap August Alsina.
Well, we don't know what they did behind camera. We don't know. We don't know anything.
He didn't do nothing.
What I do know is that if the roles had been reversed and Will Smith had an affair with Willow's friend in her 20s, we wouldn't still be talking about them as a couple. That's for sure. He'd be all kind of nasties and pedophiles. We'd be saying all kind of stuff. But for some reason, the public allowed her to slide with having this affair with this man who at the time, I think he was 23, 24 or something like that.
He's just a baby.
So because this scandal happened, of course, when you're that much in the public spotlight, people are going to have opinions about it. So Regina Hall, she made a joke.
But I think they agreed to that on both ends, to have an open relationship.
Well, they never.
I really believe that.
Well, they were never public.
So that he's got his who he likes, and she's got hers, and they are just fine with that. If you have someone that's mature, you know, if you think about it, people are of one mind. You better really understand that people, when they do things and you hear about it, their spouses know.
Yeah, if you see somebody that's high up and they're into stuff
and all that,
trust me, their spouses know. You know, Camille Cosby knew whatever was going on with Bill. Jada knows whatever was going on with Will. Will knew whatever was going on with Jada. Don't get me to believe that they didn't pillow talk and have security and have private investigators and spies and everything else. They know what each other is doing, and in many ways are participating, because at that level of the elite, you are most likely participating in many ceremonies, rituals. You're doing all kind of things in order to preserve your position. So I can't speculate on what I don't know. I know that they claim that it happened while they were separated, but you can smooth it over all you want. The Bible says that once you're married, you respect your vows, and okay, whatever. So anyway, so now we have this situation where people are having opinions about her sleeping with this younger man. So Regina Hall at the Oscars made a joke that was, she brought a bunch of single good-looking guys up on stage.
All of them. Amy Schumer, all of them had everything was just in poor taste when it came to the jokes.
So Regina Hall was making a joke. She was bringing up hot single guys on the stage, different actors who are good looking and who are single. When it came to Will Smith, she said, well, I got Will Smith on this list, and I know he's not single, but you know, Jada approves, so he can come on up. So basically it was a joke about them having an open relationship, or that even though they're married, they still can have entanglements with other people. So this was not the first joke of the night that was directed toward their relationship. Okay, so by the time you get to Chris Rock's joke, I'm sure there were already some sort of feelings that were there. Chris Rock then makes this joke when he's presenting for this award. It's an offhanded comment. He says, Jada, I love you. Can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2. Now, for those of you that are younger, you may not have gotten the reference immediately, but there's two layers to this joke. The first layer is G.I. Jane was a movie about a woman that was going into the military, and she had to shave her head in order to go and do the SEAL training or the Special Forces training, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Her name was Demi Moore. And so the first layer of that joke that people thought was funny or not funny was that she had no hair. So people immediately thought that he was attacking her for having no hair. But there's a second layer to that joke. The second layer to that joke is that at the time the movie G.I. Jane came out, Demi Moore, the actress that played the main character, was married to Bruce Willis.
He's older, but then...
Well, they were age appropriate.
Right.
But then she went on to have a relationship
with a younger
actor named Ashton Kutcher, who was on the show That 70s Show.
I couldn't stand that guy.
Well, he was in his 20s and she was in her 40s. So I truly and honestly believe that Chris Rock was making a joke about their inappropriate age difference of relationship. I think that's what he was referring to more so than the hair. And the reason why I think that is because How are you the same guy that makes this whole documentary about positive black women's hair, and then you turn around and make fun of somebody for having alopecia? I don't believe it. Not only that, he said he didn't know that she had alopecia, which I tend to believe because celebrities don't often watch television because they're too busy being television, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it was in poor taste, and I think he hit.
Of course, it was in poor
I think
taste.
he hit two birds with one stone. Tactically, he did. As they would say, he knocked that out the park, and it cost him.
I mean, it's a really wicked and clever joke if you're into those type of jokes. We talked about that before. Chris Rock is that sort of guy. He's gonna be insultive. He's gonna say things that rile. He's a shock comedian. So at first, the camera pans over to Will and Jada. Will is laughing. Jada has a reaction where she rolls her eyes like,
she was not
here we
laughing
go.
at all.
Then the next thing you know, he walks up on the stage, but notice the first thing he said was Richard. He didn't call him Will. He said Richard was coming up on the stage. So in other words, your character Richard, which is what he was winning the award for, was King Richard. Richard is the father of Venus and Serena Williams and the subject of the movie that he was getting the Oscar for. So he walks up with the same gait, the same walking style as Richard Williams. Chris Rock calls him Richard, which makes me believe that it was staged. He gets up there, he slaps him. You can see on the...
Well, before he slaps him, you have to look at body language, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Chris Rock's body language, both his hands were behind his back.
Correct.
That's a stance to say, I don't have anything, because anybody else you approach, they already putting up their dukes, letting him know, you come up here, you're coming up here, I'm ready for you. He did not have his hands in front of him at all. Both his hands were behind his back.
So either A, he did not feel there was a physical threat, or B, they were prepared for this scenario to happen on screen. I think the whole thing was a skit gone wrong. So he slaps him, he turns around. If you turn it on the slow-mo, you can see both of them kind of got a little bit of a smile on their face. He walks back to his chair. Chris Rock says, wow, Will Smith just
slapped the ish out of me.
Slapped me. He regains his composure, and then Will Smith is yelling out from the audience, and that's when people felt it was real, when he said, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. And then Chris says it was just a joke about G.I. Jane.
And then he says it again.
He repeats it again. Chris Rock composes himself. He continues on, presents the award for Best Documentary. The show goes on. Will Smith eventually did not get removed from the theater. He went on to accept the Best Oscar with a tearful speech saying things like, love will make you do crazy things, and I want to protect my family.
But he was acting them tears out.
Well, just because somebody cries doesn't mean that they're sincere either. And these are professional actors.
He was sincerely happy.
He was sincerely happy. They can draw up emotion on cue. That's what they're trained to do. And if he's best actor, then that means he's probably one of the best at being able to do that. So,
and then of course they talked about how Washington and Mr. Perry, all of them, were talking to him during the break,
So,
man, why you committing that black on black crime?
so
man,
I
you
think
know he's
that,
and then Mr. Perry, man, don't you know he's smaller than you? Anybody teach you not to pick on people that's smaller than you?
So I think that they had. Sorry, y'all. I don't think it was staged. I thought that too. Interesting.
I just want to see when he hit him. They even showed, Jada, Miss Pinkett, how she laughed after Will Smith.
They had another. They had video
slapped him.
That's right.
She laughed. But here's the deal. I didn't see the other camera angles where the actual hand actually hit the face. Did you see that? I didn't see it.
Well,
they got every other camera. Now these people got 11 to 12, 13, 15 cameras.
Now, they got a camera on every possible angle. You telling me nobody leaked any other angles?
Nobody showed that slow motion?
Well, as you mentioned, they got another angle, And when Chris Rock said Will Smith just slapped me, you can see Jada Pinkett laughing. So now some people would say she's laughing because, ha ha, my husband got you. Or you could say that they all thought it was still part of the joke, that it was staged and that it was all part of the shtick is the word.
To me, I would.
The reason why I think
he should have rolled with that at the end. Said, I
Well-
hope y'all enjoyed that skit, and then everybody would say, oh, it was a skit.
Well-
I would have rolled with that if it was.
Well,
you
the
know.
thing about it is, here's what's interesting, is I think they waited to gauge the public's reaction first. Will Smith was laughing until Jada gave Will that side eye. Ain't that the
That
truth?
side-eye Chloe, huh?
Well, I think that they waited to see the public's reaction because the public's immediate reaction was split. Some people thought he was good for what he did. Some people thought he was bad for what he did. But as the day wore on, his Will Smith's his social media commentary got more and more negative as the day went on, and that's why I think that he went ahead and did the apology and all that other stuff. I really think that just like he does things on his Instagram
Can't take black folks nowhere. That's what they say.
You know, just like she does a red table talk to gain sympathy, and he does Instagram posts to gain sympathy, to become more likable and relatable, I really believe that that whole thing was designed to boost his PR, but it backfired.
Well,
But
because
now,
when has a black man ever, think about it for a moment, everybody. Y'all just, and I want a response. I see y'all on here, okay? Everybody who's on here, please respond, because we're gonna read what you say. How many men do you know that have protected their wives? I'm talking about that are black. How many do you know black men have protected their wives by slapping somebody down? I don't know. I know not a one. I know not a one. That's why it was bad PR. Oh, you protecting the black woman because the black woman has never been protected. Do y'all get what I'm saying? And
Well-
on a serious note, I'm saying that on a serious note. In this world that we live today, it seems like the black woman is the most unprotected human being that there is. And so it would have been awesome. You know, it would have been awesome. It really would have. But, oh no, he protected a black woman. He protected Jada, his wife.
well, that's what I
Okay.
think they were looking to get
Can't
out of
be
it.
over just the hair. Really?
That's what.
So I'm going to protect my wife, not because she's sleeping with another man and all this other kind of stuff, but I'm going to protect her because of her hair. Give me a friggin' break.
Well-
Disgusting.
well, and
disgusting.
and Jada didn't really need protection.
She
Let's
sure
bear in
did. She could have
mind.
went up there and did it herself. That would have been better.
That would have been
In my
that would have been
opinion.
better if she
You don't-
walked up
you
there.
don't talk about, hey.
That would have been better if she had gone up there and delivered
You
that
know
slap.
me, I
but-
would have went up there.
'cause
and
everybody
whispered
would-
in his
look,
ear,
everybody
I'll see
would've-
you afterwards.
Everybody would have understood that. What? You don't never talk about a black woman's hair. If she'd have drew one across his face, nobody would have had a problem with her because they would have felt like he was punching down. And in comedy, punching down means you're making jokes at the expense of someone for something they can't control. Kind of like making fun of disabled people, or making fun of that sort of thing. People that have things beyond their control, you don't punch down in comedy. Well,
Anybody
remember,
responded?
Jada Pinkett Smith was the executive producer on the movie King Richard.
Right.
So not only was she there to support her husband getting the Best Actor award, she also was there as a professional in her own right for being the executive producer of the film. So she didn't really need what it is he did. There were many different ways, and we could, we can speculate on all that 16 ways to Sunday. But the reason why I believe that it was all part of a bigger agenda is because two questions. One, who benefits? And two, follow the money. Okay, number one, who benefits? Well, the Oscars. Pfizer benefits because they now are going to be able to push an alopecia drug. And
And there are more, it seems to appear to be more women of color, of melanation, that have alopecia than besides someone who has cancer or who has, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances to alopecia. And alopecia is curable. They say it's not. Yes, it is.
Well, absolutely. Your diet, your vitamin intake.
It depends
the
on
chemicals that you're putting on your hair.
on which section you're in.
The type of styles that you're putting in your hair. If you're doing excessive pulling on the follicles,
we're talking about relaxers. A lot of alopecia is caused from different things like relaxers, which have lye inside of it, will burn your scalp out. You know, we're talking about your pustules being pulled, which is what you're talking about, the excessive pulling, that's called pustules. We're talking pustules. That you have to understand, there are different things that cause it. Did you know if you have lupus, your hair will fall out? Did you know if you'll look like a cancer or a burn victim, where there'll be dark spaces and there'll be lighter spaces? You also have nerve endings and that cause your hair to fall out and cause alopecia. Stress, yep, in the back of your head, in the temples. Did you know smoking weed? A lot of people of color don't understand. When you smoke weed, and I shampoo your hair with a certain type of shampoo, it's going to come out with a purple tinge. That tells me that you're on drugs. That tells me you're doing a recreational drug. And when it turns other colors, it tells me exactly what you're on. So your stylists know when you're doing things when you think nobody knows. Okay?
And all of your body is a wonderfully created, God created ecosystem that is very sensitive and delicate, and it can withstand a lot. But your hair is the early warning system if there's something going on inside of your body.
And your crown is not at the top, by the way. Your crown goes around the edges of your hair that regulate your body temperature, that regulate when there is something wrong in your body, something that's unstable. And the moment you put in certain medications for all sorts of things, that's letting you know that your body is at a loss, that, hey, what do I need to do? Because something's going on in my body, and it's telling me that at my crown, which is around your forehead and around the ears, all the way to the back, that's your crown, not the top of your head. The top of your head is the apex, APEX. And so a lot of ways for you to understand why your hair isn't growing or why you have alopecia or traction alopecia, you need to go get tested to find out. You need to find out, did you know allergies? Milk in men cause alopecia in men. Did you know that? Some people who have an allergy to milk, they won't have any eyebrows and they won't have any hair in certain places or at all, period. So in order for you to know what you have and to know which alopecias are curable, you have to go and get seen about. That's right. You have to go. They got to take your blood. Sometimes you got to go to the allergy centers and they take that flatbed, boom, boom, and press it on your back, and it scores all. It tells you everything.
Well, I'm going to do a shameless plug for Man Glam Plus. Because you are an expert in damaged hair repair.
Yes. I want this to be said because I had a guy call me up. Listen, I don't compete against no barbers. I'm too old for that. Okay, I'm 50 something. I don't want to go around. We want to do a competition, a cut competition. I did that. I did that 2000s. Okay, and won. I did that. I did the Incredible Hulk, which glowed in the dark. Okay, that's what I did. I don't like to compete against no barbers and none of that stuff. I'm beyond all that stuff. We're at the point right now, which I want to give a plug for to Brookie. Brookins
can I just plug you first?
Okay, go ahead. I like to plug other people.
That
too.
LuvLuv is a damaged hair repair expert.
Yeah. If you stick with me, it's gonna happen.
Natural ways to bring that hair back.
Yeah.
Without.
And right now, as you can see, I have my hair. Y'all
It's
see
long.
it, y'all? No, it's not yet, but it will be.
So,
when it gets down here with a braid, then I'll know it's long.
ManGlamPlus.com.
Thank you.
ManGlamPlus. ManGlamPlus.com.
Man, M-A-N, glam, G-L-A-M, plus, P-L-U-S.com.
But now, let me keep going. Is a pharmaceutical company, has in clinical trials a pill that you can take for alopecia.
Right.
So who benefits? Oh my gosh, poor Jada Smith got bullied by Chris Rock because she has alopecia. Well, hey, there's alopecia drugs that are coming out on the market now. Pfizer is going to make a ton of money off of this incident. So there's motive there. Okay. And remember, pharmaceutical, all those words are the same root word as the Greek word for sorcery. In the book of Revelation. When you see the word, they did not repent. The merchants of the earth did not repent of their sorceries. It's literally talking about using drugs, illegal and legal, in order to control the people. So we know as Christians, anytime you see the pharmaceutical companies trying to push something very, very hard, they are practicing end time sorcery. So not to say that you don't go to your doctor, not to say that you don't take medicine. I'm not saying that. Don't say Lady J said that. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that the medical companies have financial incentives to do things that may or may not be in our best health interest. Okay? That's all I'm saying. You have to consult your own doctor and draw your own conclusions. But Pfizer has a motive for this alopecia joke to have gone over badly. The Oscars, the actual Academy Awards and the Academy had a motive for this scandal to happen, because in 2021
wasn't nobody checking for them. Really.
They weren't. Most people didn't even know the Oscars came on TV until they heard about the slap. Can you name the best movie that happened last year? Who was the best picture winner? I bet you can't. The best picture winner this year was a movie called Coda. It had an $11 million budget and only made $1 million at the box office. Nobody saw that movie, and it won Best Picture. Their viewership in 2021 was the lowest ever. They only had like either
Jackson
11 or 14 million viewers of their ceremony in 2021. This year, they only had about 14 million, which was the second lowest viewership ever in history. And we know we can't say it's because of the pandemic, because the Super Bowl still got 100 million viewers. So it's not that. People aren't tuning into the Oscars, but I bet you people tune in next year because they want to see what's going to happen next year. Is Will Smith going to slap somebody else next year?
Well, he removed himself.
Well, he resigned from the Academy.
Because he knew that Mike Tyson was going to be there.
Who else benefits? Well, Chris Rock benefits. His ticket sales were up like 50%.
Because people knew that they could do it, and that was ridiculous.
Well, guess what? Chris Rock is going on a world comedy tour this summer. As a matter of fact, he's going to be here in Omaha along with Kevin Hart this August. Not that I'm plugging his show. I'm illustrating a point that his ticket sales went up over 50% in one day after the assault happened. So who benefited?
They want to hear him talk. They want to hear him talk about it.
Chris Rock benefited. Do you know who else is going to benefit? Will and Jada, in their own way, are going to benefit because they're going to go on Red Table Talk. They're going to write a book about it. They're going to do an autobiography about it. They're going to put it on social media. They just
don't
need
ever have to work again, y'all.
Well, with 10 #1 movies in his back pocket, he doesn't need the money. He's got the Oscar, and even if they take the Oscar away, he still obtained the award. So he's not worried about that. Okay, as much as we think that, oh, he's so sad, he's so sorry.
Nope.
This is the same guy that just put out an autobiography about himself, bearing his soul with all of this stuff he was talking about, how he wanted to marry Halle Berry and some other woman, and how Jada Smith was on Red Table Talk talking about Will wasn't good in bed, and just all of this too much information stuff.
Are you supposed to say it like it is? Putting your business out in them streets.
Exactly. So for them, all publicity is good publicity. Even if it's negative, it's still getting people talking. And though he may lose some endorsements and lose some movie opportunities,
he did lose an endorsement though.
Well, they're backing away from Bad Boys 4. So for those of you that were,
God, I wish
they shouldn't have made Bad Boys 3 because
really.
it had a bunch of witchcraft in that movie.
Yikes!
Bad Boys 3 went totally witchcraft there at the end, and I said, boy, Christians, we just got to really pay attention to this stuff that they're pushing. And I told you that every movie Will Smith pushes, there's some sort of agenda that's being behind it.
Some things aren't meant to be. Some things just aren't meant to be.
So Netflix was going to do a movie with Will, and now they've pulled out of it.
They sure did.
They're saying they're not going to do Bad Boys 4. Okay, he's still rich.
Who cares?
It's not going to matter. And I think some black comedians
we
said
were hoping
once,
you don't.
well, was it Cat Williams, or I don't know who it was, that said black celebrities are not allowed to get out clean, meaning they're not allowed to just end their career without some sort of scandal. I don't know how true that is or not, but I know
I think
that
there's truth to that.
But
think about any of the ones that have.
Well, but it could have been that his arrangement, his arrangement with the elites, his contract could have been up too. And you're like, what are you talking about, Lady J?
Well, you can't get into it because it's too much, okay? Do not.
I won't get into it,
Don't.
okay? But we'll just say that we'll just say that he has reached the pinnacle of success. 10 #1 movies in a row, and you got the Oscar. What else really is there to accomplish? So I'll leave it at that.
There you go. Thank you.
All right. So having said all that, everybody is going to make money off of this scandal. Pfizer is going to make money. The Oscars is going to make money. Chris Rock's going to make money. And even Will and Jada, they will recover from this in one way or another, and they will continue to make money. So whether you think it's real or whether you think it was staged but backfired, which is my personal opinion, at the end of the day, the elites are getting what they wanted. And the most important thing we have to remember is what I call weapons of mass distraction. Whenever you see a major event and everybody's talking about it, Christians should immediately be looking to see what else is going on in the news that's not being reported.
So we should tell them what was going on while that was going on.
I'll tell you some of the things that happened in the news during the last week while we were all talking about Will Smith. For example, #1, Ghislaine Maxwell, which was Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking coordinator, her charges were upheld. So she's not getting out on appeal. She's guilty of human trafficking. #2, Russia has tied their natural gas and their oil. You have to pay them in rubles, or you have to pay them in gold, or you have to pay them in Bitcoin.
Yep.
Which means that 30% of the world's natural oil and gas reserves are now going to have to be paid in something other than U.S. dollars.
Because the U.S. dollar is practically worth nothing.
They also have tied the Russian ruble to the gold standard. And I don't have a lot of time to get into that, but understand that basically what that means is that rubles are actual real money and U.S. dollars is nothing but fiat. In 1971, prior to 1971, $1 was worth a certain amount of gold. And this is like money 101, okay? Prior to 1971, each unit of dollars was representative of a certain amount of grams of gold. In 1971, the president at the time, I believe it was Nixon, wrote a law that said we're no longer going to tie this paper dollar, U.S. dollar, to an equivalent amount of gold. That's called the gold standard. We took the dollar off of the gold standard, and what that did was that allowed the government to now print more and more of these paper dollars because they didn't have to be tied to an equivalent amount of gold. When you print more and more dollars, that creates inflation because now it takes more dollars to pay for the same items. So the value of the dollar gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So since 1971, $1 would have bought you $1 worth of stuff, but now it may only buy you 10 cents worth of stuff.
Yeah, and if you look at the dollar store, it's $1.25.
So since 2019, since the pandemic began, we have printed, I think, over half of the dollars that are in circulation in the entire world. We printed about half that much in just 2 years. Well, if you flood the market with that many paper dollars that aren't attached to anything, the value of the dollar is rapidly running to zero.
Yep,
well, Russia went the opposite way, and they said, no, we're going to put our rubles back. We're going to reconnect it with an equivalent amount of gold. And when they did that, not only did they reattach it to the gold standard, but their value of their ruble is 30% less. So, for example, you can get a certain amount of rubles for $1,400 worth of gold. But if you were to buy that same gold with the US dollar, you'd be paying about $1,900 for that ounce of gold. So with one proclamation, Russia wiped out 30% of the US dollar's value with one decision. That means now that as of April 1st, you either buy their stuff in gold, Bitcoin, or rubles, or people will scramble to convert their US dollars into rubles because they're worth an equivalent amount of gold. So that means that countries are going to move away from the US dollar, which could collapse our entire economy.
Right.
Right now,
which is in the plan to do.
It is in the plan.
Right.
The US dollar right now is the world currency, meaning if I go over to Nigeria, I can pay for things in US dollars as well as Nigerian naira. If I go over to India, I can pay for things in US dollars or I can buy them in Indian rupees, and so on and so forth. Each country may have their own currency, but we all agree that the US dollar is kind of like the conversion currency. Everybody wants to have US dollars.
Yep.
US dollars got tied to oil in the Middle East, where you had to buy oil with US dollars. Well, now Russia has done two things. One, now they've tied their rubles to the gold standard, and two, they're allowing countries to buy their oil with something other than US dollars.
Right.
You got to pay for it in rubles, Bitcoin, or straight gold. So that is going to take away the US's power of the dollar, and once people no longer trade in US dollars, now we no longer have the global financial control.
Yeah, the dollar has dropped because for UK, we're talking about Euro, Europe and all those euros, it was $96 and it has dropped. So for their $100 in the UK, it used to be $96 and now it has dropped even more. So that's going to show you that this is hanging on by some fingernails. It's,
Right.
And then once some fingers get weak enough from holding all that weight, you're gonna fall. It's gonna fall.
The third big piece of news that happened while we were all looking at Will Smith and Chris Rock slapping each other, or he was slapping him, the third big thing was there was a global conference that just happened with the World Economic Forum,
Yep.
the WEF. The World Economic Forum is a group of leaders around the world that all are participating to drive the whole world, in certain directions.
Wow.
It's headed by a man named Klaus Schwab, and he has written
I can't stand that man.
He has written a book called The Great Reset. In this World Economic Forum, they just met. Joe Biden was there. Joe Biden made a comment about how we are heading into the new world order. You can look that up. He said that at this conference. All the other leaders were discussing things like biometric IDs, digital money, where every piece of currency that you ever use from here on out will be tracked, traced, and controlled, that they can control what you buy, what you spend, what you can't buy, how much you can spend, how much you can have, and that it will all be tied to a digital ID. They have pushed the digital ID in several countries already, including Canada and some other countries. And all of this stuff happened this week while we were looking at Will Smith and talking about Chris Rock. Whenever, as Christians, whenever you see that the whole entire world is talking about one certain thing, always pay attention to what is not being highlighted.
What's going on at the same time behind the scenes.
And that's, you sniff that out, and then you will know what's really happening and what's really important. And more importantly, even than looking at that, is make sure you're always reading your Bible, especially the books that talk about end times, because we have been told that this world system is going to be collapsed in order to bring forth what they call the new world order, is what the Bible calls the beast system, that will be headed by a leader called his name won't be the Antichrist, but he will be the Antichrist. So
he's the forerunner.
So that is what's really happening in the world right now. And yeah, it's fun to talk about celebrity gossip, and it's fun to, make our opinions and put our thoughts out there. But ultimately, as Christians, we have to understand that none of these people that you see on these celebrity shows, or these artists, or these athletes, or these entertainers, none of them should be our idols. We should not be looking to these people for guidance, for advice, for moral instruction. We should not be looking to these people, because as I demonstrated, these folks, they are not serving the Most High God.
Right.
They're not there for our benefit to help make us more godly and righteous people. They are there to do a job, to earn a living, to take care of their families, but they are being allowed to do that by groups of people that are behind the scenes that have a very specific goal they're trying to enact on the entire world.
It's really like the Wizard of Oz. You got a lot going on, but behind the curtain, behind the big curtains, it's not good.
So
Yeah.
So I know that was kind
not
of
good.
a different show this week than what we normally do. And so
I'm glad you decided to do this even though you weren't feeling very good. I tried to get her to stay home. I said, let's go. You need to go to the hospital. No, I'm going to do
yeah,
this.
I had a cold that was bigger than a bread box, and I didn't have any like flu or anything like that, but just a lot of fatigue. And so, you know, I do what I'm supposed to do.
I was like, you going.
I do what I'm supposed to do. I hydrate, I rest,
Yes.
I stay in the bed. I don't do, too much
Sleep
of
is the
anything that I
best.
don't have to do. Sleep a lot. And I think it finally broke around maybe 10 o'clock last night. I finally was
I
like,
don't know.
oh,
You were
man.
out the whole day today.
Well,
until
I did sleep for about 3-4 hours
You
this
did.
afternoon.
I didn't. I was gonna take her to the doctor, and then she was sleeping so soundly. I was like, okay, just let her sleep.
So y'all pray for me that this cold will get on out of my way. So at any rate, so I know that was probably a different show for you guys this week. We'll get back to
Quite sure.
more. Do we have any Bible verses that we can connect to? I did connect a couple of
You
Bible
did.
verses to it.
You did.
So I think we all right. I thought I was going to look up the word slap in the Bible and see how many times the word slap was in there.
Well, we do have the one where he said, "The churning forth of the nose bringeth forth blood."
Right. Well, I couldn't find the word slap because that's a pretty modern word, but I did find the word strike. And
Well, Jesus also landed on him. Y'all know Jesus was a thug. Jesus was an OG, okay? Then he said the money exchangers, they were, driving up the cost for the doves, for the sacrifices and everything else. And he was like, man, y'all about to get these hands. Y'all about to catch these hands with this stick.
okay, I'm gonna give you a verse about striking, which would be like slapping or
Please
punching.
do the one with Jesus, please. Don't leave
All
that
right,
one out.
it's Mark
Jesus was
chapter.
a thug, y'all.
Oh no, not that one.
Jesus was a thug.
Okay, I'll pull that one up. But the first one I grabbed was when Jesus was being crucified, Yahushua. When Jesus was being crucified, it talks about in Mark chapter 14, verse, we'll start at 64. Mark 14:64. You have heard the blasphemy. What think ye? And they all condemned him to be guilty of death. So all these people wanted Jesus to be dead.
They were slapping and pulling his beard.
And
They
it
were doing
says
everything.
in verse 65, and some began to spit on him and to cover his face and to buffet him. That word buffet means to punch him. They was punching him, kicking him, and to say unto him, prophesy. And the servants did strike him with the palms of their hands. So there's your slap right there. When you strike somebody with the palm of your hand, that's a slap. If you buffet somebody, that's you hitting them with fists and feet. So Jesus got slapped while they were taunting him and insulting him and bullying him and taking him to his death. So not only did he have to endure the actual death itself, but he also endured the disrespect. Because if two men are fighting and they knuckling up and they punching each other close-fisted, okay, that's a fight. But when one man's open hand slaps another man, that's like a terrible disrespect to be open hand slapped by a man.
That's what somebody said on there. Will Smith didn't have to hit that dude. Like
No,
that.
he did not have to hit that dude like that.
If he really did hit him, we don't. I'd like to see.
But but being open hand slapped by another man, that's
Yes.
like a very rude and
his
disrespectful
daughter,
thing.
if it was real, his daughters are going to have to look at that black on black crime that my dad was slapped by this other
But
guy.
I think they're also going to say that, hey, my dad kept his composure. He could have.
We know.
He coulda fought
I'm
back.
for sure it wasn't real because he didn't sue Will Smith.
Well, not yet.
He
hasn't apologized.
He said he's not. He said he's not.
Well, for now, because
He
he's
said
trying to
he's not.
see what's going to make him more money. If he
said
makes
he's
more
not.
money off of his comedy tour than he would get from suing, that's number one. Number two, we
That's
don't know.
not it.
We don't know if his palms
not
got grease behind the scenes.
Oh, we know.
We don't know if
We-
somebody didn't slip some extra money in his
They're
hand.
like, you know what?
And be like, man, don't sue. Here's some extra money to keep it quiet, because you know that's how they do.
None of them is gonna take their money for Will to give to Chris Rock. None of them.
No,
They talked
I'm
that, but they
saying,
wouldn't.
I'm
Will
saying
might have said
well,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
He
Will
might have
could have
said,
very
"We'll
well
pay you
said,
out,"
look,
you know.
Will could have very well said, look, I'm
Jesus landed.
gonna give you a public apology, and here's, I don't know, $5 million. Let's just let it be. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and they most certainly not gonna tell.
You got that right.
So
See
you wanted me to pull up about the money changers?
Yeah, you can.
All
'Cause
right.
Jesus was a thug, y'all. He was a thug.
I don't know about all that.
Jesus was a thug. Jesus was a thug.
All right. Well, this was
He was thugged out.
so this is John chapter 2, and I'm gonna
Okay,
put it
we'll
up
take
on
that one.
I'm gonna put it up on the screen for those of you that are watching on the live stream here. John chapter 2, starting in verse 13. And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, make not my father's house a house of merchandise,
Or den of thieves.
or den of thieves, which they didn't change it in this version here.
Which
and-
version are you reading?
Well, it says King James Version
That sound like
authorized,
the
but
new-
they didn't change it. And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house has eaten me up. Now, let's go back and say this in modern English. The Jews were required, just like right now there's Ramadan going on, where the Muslims, they all practice Ramadan, and they fast and they give alms and they do good deeds and they do all this stuff. The Jews had they have a yearly feast called Passover, and Passover is supposed to be spiritually oriented, where they celebrate that the angel of death passed over the house of the Hebrews when they were leaving Egypt. When they were coming out of Egypt, they were protected by the hand of the Lord, and when they put the blood over the doorpost, the angel of death passed over them and killed the firstborn of all the Egyptians. So they would do this annual feast of Passover. Well, people figured out they could make money off of this. So each year in Passover, they were supposed to bring a sacrifice. And so there were people that said, ooh, you know what? These people are coming from far away.
We're going to raise the price.
We're going to raise the price.
Just
And
like
if they
did
didn't
with-
bring any
just like
doves,
they with Chris Rock, they raised the price for his tickets.
yep, if we didn't bring any, so you would travel from far away to come to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. But if you didn't have the capacity to bring your own animals to sacrifice, you could buy some at the merchandise tables, at the merch tables, at the merch tables, and they would jack up, like you said, jack up the price. And then the money changers would change the money. So you might come bringing in one sort of currency, but then you had to use the currency that they said. And then when they converted the currency into the Jerusalem currency, they would raise the price, so you wouldn't get as much for your money, and then you would have to pay more for the animals so that you could participate in the feast. So of course Jesus comes in and he's like, hey, this is supposed to be a spiritual celebration of the Most High God and what he has done for us as a people, and here y'all are basically taking advantage of church folks' money. And that wasn't about to go down.
Jesus was a thug.
So when it says he made a scourge of small cords, that means he made a small whip, like a switch.
It's not small.
Well,
Well, it might have been small.
it says a
because they
scourge
were
of small
Yeah,
cords.
because they were small. That's
Y'all
right.
remember? I'm young enough. My grandmama was
I want the other.
my grandmama was old school, and so she was to go out and get a switch type.
No.
And them small switches,
No.
was worse than the big thick ones.
they-
So when it says he made a whip out of small cords, that stuff was major. So he made a scourge of small cords.
Different.
He drove them out of the temple. He took all the animals out. He poured out all their money. He knocked over the tables. You want me to try to find a web English?
Can we get a King James? Can we get a King
It was
James?
King James.
No, that's not King James.
Well, that's what it says.
That's not.
So it says he made a whip excuse me, a whip of cords.
I'll go to Amplified.
He threw all out. Well, you get the Amplified out.
I don't have the Amplified.
Both the sheep and the oxen, and he poured the money changers' money. He overthrew their tables, and he said, "Take these things out of here. Don't make my father's house a marketplace." Now, in my old version, it said a den of thieves. Well, I don't know.
No, you know what?
You looked that up.
I got my actual Bible here. I'll just look.
All right.
Which version? You
Den
doing,
of
John?
Thieves.
Are you doing John?
Amplified. John chapter 2. Yes. Well, I think we could probably pull a lesson out of that for modern day times too. In the church, sometimes we get a little bit too focused on the merchandise or the merchandising of spiritual things, and that's not good.
Go ahead.
John 2. Yeah, it says the same thing. They didn't change the Bible. It used to say den of thieves.
Right.
It don't say that anymore.
Don't not too much now. These people's crazy out here, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Ooh, that is
Amplified
kind of
say?
weird there.
What does the Amplified say?
Just
Just like they said in the Bible, and it used to be the lamb shall lie down with the lion with the lamb. Now it's the lamb shall lie down with the wolf. What? The wolf shall lie down with the lamb? What is going on here?
right.
Getting sick of this.
John 2 Amplified. Okay, I'm doing this one shot. If it's not here, then
All
I
right,
can't
well,
help you.
I
Because I
think
got
I need to let
gotta
it
move
go.
on. You sure do.
Looks like another love TKO. Remember that?
Yeah, this says place of commerce.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
didn't changed it. It says, now the Passover of the Jews was approaching, so Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and in the temple or enclosure, he found the people who were selling oxen and sheep and doves and the money changers sitting at their tables.
There it goes.
He made a whip of cords and drove them all out of the temple with the sheep and the oxen, and he scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. Then to those who sold the doves, he said, "Take these things away. Stop making my Father's house a place of commerce." His disciples remembered that it was written in the scriptures, "Zeal or love and concern for your house and its honor will consume me." So there you go.
Wow. Thanks,
So-
Jackie. Jesus was a thug. He
Well-
was a THUG.
Well, that wasn't actually about slapping, but it was about righteous indignation, and that sometimes there are times and places for which to display that righteous indignation. I'm not convinced that on the world stage of the Oscars is the right place to do that, unless, of course, it was a planned event that just kind of backfired in
Right.
many different ways, which
Right.
is what I personally think, because everyone is going to benefit from it. No one is really going to lose from it. You may be able to say that Will Smith lost from it by, okay, what? He's already made his millions. He's already got his money out there. He's already won the Oscar. Even if they take it away, you can't take the man's performance in the movie away. And he's going to milk it later on with, more sympathy-inducing commentary. Both him,
Where
his
was
wife, and his
Black
family.
Lives when they say Black Lives Matter?
All right, we gonna leave.
Oh,
On that note,
But I did say, hey, if you want to, the black women want a champion that finally a black man stood up for a black woman. Hey, okay.
well, I had somebody here that said, I know several black men that stand up for their women.
Thank God.
I do too.
Thank God.
So at any rate,
God.
okay, so that was kind of a fun
good to
episode,
see
a little
y'all.
bit different. We'll get back to some of our normal stuff
Sure.
next time around. But we
you
love you guys.
guys. Love
Hopefully
you.
this was entertaining for you this week. Make sure you tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central
Yes.
Standard Time. We rebroadcast this show.
And to our friends overseas, we're not 8 hours anymore because of the time change, so we are 7 hours difference.
And y'all make
Yes.
sure y'all don't slap nobody unless they slap you first. And,
Yeah, look, to me, you know how I feel about it. You can talk all you want, okay? But if you come trying to put your hands on me, all bets off, okay? Give your heart to God,
Absolutely.
because your behind is mine.
there's nothing in the Bible that says that self-defense is unlawful. So
Yeah, Jesus passed through him as if invisible.
yeah, we'll talk about
Yes.
we'll talk about Christians and self-defense on a different week.
Be blessed today and every day. We bless you.
All right, everybody. We'll
Bless
talk to
you.
you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.